Hi everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to see how to use Snowflake WebUI and how to execute queries in Snowflake WebUI. So this will be a video on complete walkthrough on the WebUI provided by Snowflake. So Snowflake generally has two interactive tools that can be used to connect to Snowflake instance. So one of it is SnoSQL, which is a command line utility, and the other one is web-based Snowflake UI. So the Snowflake Web UI is the most common way that everyone used to connect to Snowflake instance. So it also uh, can be used to execute queries, perform some administrative functions such as creating database objects, managing virtual warehouses, and managing security and reviewing the cost that is associated with the Snowflake instances. So now I will be connecting to my Snowflake instance that we created in our previous video and explore the components that are available through Snowflake WebUI. So when we created the Snowflake account, we would have got an email like this. This email will contain the URL to our account. So this URL can be used to access our account. Let me copy this URL and paste it here. Once we go to this URL, it will ask for the username and password. Provide the username and password for your Snowflake account and click on sign in. So once we sign in, we would be able to see a screen like this. From this screen, the very first thing is the username. So on the left top, we would be able to see the username and most importantly the effective role that is being used. Currently it is displaying the account admin as the role. So we can click on the arrow button here and select or switch to other roles. This role that's selected here determines what user interface elements you have access to. So in this example, the selected role is account admin, and we can also access the profile section, which displays the details regarding our Snowflake account like username, password, the name, and everything. We can also enroll for multi-factor authentication from this window. And the other option that is available here is partner connect, documentation, support, and sign out. So I will show you the partner connect from the other tab. The documentation will provide us some documents to learn and use the Snowflake tools. And support is used to connect with Snowflake if we have any issues with our Snowflake account and the data that we stored in Snowflake and anything related to our Snowflake account. For accessing the support, it is not free of cost. We need to add our billing details in order to use this support facility. Currently, I am not able to access support because I am using the free trial version of my account. Let me go to the very first tab, that is Worksheets. So Worksheets is the default view that Snowflake Web UI opens on. Like whenever we log on to our Snowflake, Worksheets will be opened by default, and queries are written and executed in the worksheets. Here we can see some of the worksheets that are already available. These worksheets are shared by Snowflake itself. The inner tabs inside the worksheets helps us navigate through the worksheets that are shared with us, my worksheets, and we can also place the worksheets in folders. So in case if we need to create a new worksheet, we have an option here on the top right. Click on add button and it will open up a new worksheets. In this new worksheet, we can write any SQL queries. So I just wrote one query. Let me try to execute it. Before executing, there is something selected on the top of this worksheets. So what is this? So if we expand it, so we can select database and a schema inside the database where our queries will be executed. For in this case, I selected Snowflake sample data and I'm selecting TPCH SF1 schema. So once I selected this database and schema, I am directly querying the table. So this table should be present in this particular schema. Let me try to run it. The run button is on the top right corner. We can click on run here. So below the worksheet, we can see the data is displayed. So I am limiting the data to only 10 rows. So the data is displayed. So we can also do some analytics on top of the data. Like if we want to see the data in the form of chart, we can click on the chart here and we can see the data in the form of chart. So we can customize this chart based on the settings that are available on the right side here. So this particular video is not dedicated to the visualization that is available here. I will walk through the visualization charts and everything in my other video. So using the worksheets, we can do all these things, right? This is the place where we write all of our SQL queries and run in Snowflake. Let me go back to home. So we have seen what worksheets is. Now let us go to dashboards. In the dashboards tab, we can create a new dashboard. So what dashboard in Snowflake is that this is a collection of charts that can be arranged in the form of tiles. Let me create a sample dashboard and show you how the dashboard work in Snowflake. So we can click on the add new dashboard on the right top, give a name to the dashboard, sample dashboard 1, and create a dashboard. So this is the dashboard that we have created. We can add a tile to this dashboard. So the tile would be an SQL query. For example, let me write a query as so I have written a sample query here. Let me run this query. So this query is run and this is the result out of this query. So once I have written the query, I can go to the sample dashboard one. I mean return to sample dashboard one. Once I go back, I would be able to see the result of that query being available here. So this is not the only one thing that we can do. We can add more tiles to this dashboard. Let me add one more tile, new tile from worksheet. So now I would like to query other table. Okay, this is the result of the query here. So, but in my sample dashboard, I would like to present the data in the form of a chart. So in this worksheet, we can click on chart and the chart is displayed. We can customize this chart from the right tab available here. So what I wanted to do is I would like to edit this order date so that it will display the data by. So I will select quarter here and the chart now is of line chart. I would like to convert it to a bar chart. Let me make it a bar chart. So this is the data for each month, like it's for July 1998, uh, April, Jan, October 97. So data is in the descending format. So in the order direction, we can also select the ascending format. So the data is from 1992 to 1998 in the ascending format. So once we are done editing the worksheet, we can go back to the sample dashboard. The chart got added in the dashboard. The same way, we can add as many tiles as possible and as many tiles as required for us. So this is the one of the good advantage, like instead of using tools like Tableau or any other BI tools, we can directly visualize the data that is present in Snowflake using Snowflake itself. We can also share this dashboard to other users. So with the help of the link, they can see the dashboard that is created. So in the dashboards tab itself, we have some more sub tabs: recent, shared with me, and my dashboards. So recent will be the list of top n recent dashboards that we have opened, and shared with me are the dashboards that are created by the some other users and shared with us. So we should be able to explore the dashboards which are created by the other users. And my dashboards will have the list of all dashboards that we have created. I mean, currently I'm using account admin role, and when I click on my dashboards, it will display all the dashboards that are created by the account admin role. Now let us see what is inside data. If we click on data, we are seeing two things. One is databases, the other one is private sharing. So databases will uh, show a list of databases that are available to the selected role, and it also allows you to create new databases if you have the necessary privileges. So the current role is account admin. With the permissions of the account admin, there are two databases. One database is Snowflake, the other database is Snowflake sample data. Inside the database, there are multiple schemas available. Even in this database, there are other schemas that are available. So we can click on any of the schema and see the tables, or we can also explore the views. We can see the stages or anything that is available inside this schema in a particular database. So in case if you want to create a new database, right, you can click on this add database button here, and it will prompt you to give a name to the database. Let me name the database as sample db and create. I am not giving any comments. We can also give any comments which explain what this database is regarding. So let me create a database. So the database is created, and we are now able to see the database here, right? We can also create tables or views under these databases, right? And we have created the database with account admin as owner. We can also go here and drop the database, right? We can drop the database. So the database got dropped. So inside the data, we have private sharing, right? So what is private sharing, right? So even inside the private sharing, there are three subtabs. One is shared with me, shared by my account, reader accounts. So let us see what is shared with me. Shared with me has the data that is provided by some other user or some other account, and I have the access to see the data. And what is shared by my account? So shared by my account means it this tab contains the tables that are created by the current account. So the current account is Snowpark user and the account admin role. So using this Snowpark user, if there is some data that is created, and if you have shared it with anyone, that data can be seen here. There is something called reader accounts. So what is reader account, right? So reader accounts are Snowflake accounts that are created and managed by data providers on behalf of their consumers. Data providers are those who is going to create the data and share it with their. So reader accounts are created by us for companies that do not have a Snowflake account yet. But the reader accounts are restricted from loading their own data. So marketplace, so it's a place where people can go and access the readily available or ready to query data from third party data providers. So it has the data, so that the data scientists or the business intelligence and analytics professionals, they can come here, they can fetch some of the data provided by any of the providers, and they can run some analytical queries on top of this, and it will help us, I mean, it will help them to make some data driven decision making. And the other tab is activity tab. So activity tab will help us look at the recent activity that has been done from our Snowflake account. So if we click on activity, there are two things. One is query history and one is copy history. From the query history, we can see all the activities that are done. So we have just seen that we created a sample db from the UI, and we can also drop that sample db. So whatever the queries that we have run in our Snowflake account, we should be able to see all the queries from here. And copy history is the history of all the data that got copied into our Snowflake account. Like I have not copied any data yet, so if we have copied some data from any files or some different places to our Snowflake, we should be able to see that history here. And the next one is admin tab will help us look at the usage, manage warehouses, and security, billing, and all those details. So the usage is place where we can see the amount of credits that are used by our Snowflake account. So credits will be used when we run some queries, when we store some data, when we transfer some data, right? So the inner tab shows that at the organization level, at the entire organization level, one credit is being used. Like for my entire account, only one credit is being used. And you can see the split of this one credit in all these three tabs. Like for consuming, one credit. Like so among this one credit that we are seeing, the complete one credit used for consuming the data. Consuming means running SQL queries. So and we can also see what warehouse I used for consuming the data. Like I am using compute warehouse for running the SQL queries. So that's why it's showing that one credit is being used by compute warehouse, right? And for storage, as I don't have any data stored or created by myself, it would be zero here. So it shows that there is 0 bytes stored. And for transferring, I have not transferred the data, so it is 0 here. Now let's go to warehouses. When we click on warehouse button, it will show all the virtual warehouses that are available on the system. So you can also create new virtual warehouses from this interface, given that we have the required privileges to create a warehouse. Currently, we can see that there is one warehouse, which is compute warehouse, and the size of the warehouse is extra small. The running shows the number of instances running. There are two instances. There are no queued ones, and this warehouse is created by sysadmin, created 4 days ago. Like I created my account 4 days ago. When I created my accounts, compute warehouse got created default by default. So we can also create new warehouse by clicking on the add button here. Let me give warehouse name as temp warehouse. And the size is the most important factor when we create a warehouse. If we provide the warehouse size as small, it will use a multi-cluster warehouse. If it is extra small, it will probably use a single cluster warehouse. So let us provide it to be extra small, and as we keep on increasing the size of the warehouse, the number of credits will also increase. And we also have advanced warehouse options like auto resume, auto suspend. If we provide some suspend time, like if it is 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, so the warehouse maximum timeout will be the time that we provide here. If it is 2 minutes, the maximum time a query can run is 2 minutes. If the query is not resulting anything in the 2 minutes, the warehouse will get suspended and the query will not be, I mean, the query will fail with timeout exceeded thing. So click on create warehouse. So the warehouse got created, temp warehouse, right? And the warehouse got created with the owner as account admin, right? Let me go and delete this warehouse. I don't need this warehouse. So the warehouse got deleted. And what is resource monitors? We can create a resource monitor, and it helps us to actually see the how much amount of resources or how many resources are being used by particular warehouses. So if we create a resource monitor, we need to tell the name of the monitor and credit quota. Like if it is 500,000 or number of credits depending on our requirement, we can give the credit here and provide the monitor type to be account or warehouse. Let us select this to be a warehouse, and we select compute warehouse, and we schedule the resets to be monthly. So we can also customize this resets, like whether it is monthly or daily or weekly, right? So we have set the resets to be monthly, right? So what action to be performed when this particular warehouse exceeds the credit quota of 1000 credits, right? So suspend immediately and notify when this percent of credit is used. Like out of this 1000 credits, let us say if 90% of the quota is utilized, so the warehouse will be suspended, and the it will be notified to the users. And suspend and notify when this percent of credit is used. So it is suspend immediately, and it is suspend like when there are some queries executing. Once those queries are completed, it would be suspended. Let us say if it is 80%, and notify when this percent of credit is used, like when the 50% of credit is used, it will notify. And if we give some name sample rm, and we can create the resource monitor, like when we are utilizing the warehouse, when the we can see here how much amount of quota is getting used and what to do when the quota limit is exceeded. And if we don't want this resource monitor, we can drop this resource monitor also. So we can see the beauty of Snowflake, that we can do anything from the UI, and we can start or stop warehouses, resource monitors, we can create databases, schemas, tables, everything from the UI itself. And the next one is users and roles. So we can create new users or drop the existing users or disable users from these users and roles. And there is other thing called so grant a role or revoke a role. Like the Snowpark user is currently having the account admin role, right? So we can grant a new role to the user, Snowpark user. Like if there is some other role like security admin or sysadmin or admin, we can grant different role to this current user also. To create new users, we can click on add button and click on user and provide the password, so that this user will be able to access the Snowflake instance using this username and password. And you can set some advanced options, like what should be the login name, what should be the default warehouse to be used. If we have multiple warehouses, we will have an option to select one among those, and what should be the default role for this user and everything. The next one is security will help us to create some network policies, so that we can restrict the access to Snowflake from particular IP address, or we can block the access to this Snowflake account from different IP address. Let us see how this works. Like I'm creating a new network policy. Uh, Let me name it default policy. And by default, I don't want any of the instance, I mean anyone to access the Snowflake account from this particular IP address. Because we can block this particular IP address, right? So we can block this IP address. And what are all the allowed IP address? I can check list of IP addresses or list of places where the Snowflake account can be accessed, and provide that particular IP address, so that this Snowflake instance can be accessed from only that IP addresses. If we are working for any enterprise, and we would be connecting to a virtual private network, if we provide the IP address of that particular virtual private network in the allowed IP addresses, only when we are connected to VPN, we should be able to access the Snowflake instance. In case if we are not connected to VPN, and if we are on a different network, we will be blocked from accessing the Snowflake account. So these network policies will be generally used by enterprise accounts to restrict access from any other missions or any other places. So I'm not creating any policy now. And sessions will show us the list of sessions that got created uh, for our Snowflake account. So these are all the sessions, like when they got created and where they got created. So all of the sessions that I have accessed is using the web UI only. So, and these are all the details of the sessions, like the IP address from where we accessed the session, and the authentication type that I have used. And billing will show us the payment method that we would like to pay for this Snowflake instance. Like we can add a credit card, debit card, or anything. So once the trail is ended, we will be charged for how many credits that we use from this payment method. And contacts is the place where we store the notification information, like we can provide the email address here so that all the notifications related to these areas will be sent to this particular email user. And accounts will help us see the list of accounts that are available for this user, like we can have different accounts for a single user, and if we have some other account, the other account will be listed here. And this is the place where we can also find the link for this account. If we hover over the account name, we will see the option to the link, like this is the place where we will be accessing this particular Snowflake account. And partner connect will help us to connect with the third party providers, like data providers or CI/CD providers, and data integration, business integration, BI tools and everything. So we can click on any of the tool and see how to connect to their systems from this partner connect window. Help and support has two tabs. One is to learn, then the other one is support. So learn will be used to find any documentation or to learn the basics of the Snowflake, and support will help us to reach out to this Snowflake support personnel for any issues. I mean, for any issues with the Snowflake account, or if we need any help with the Snowflake account. So, and as I told earlier that support, for using the support, we need to add the payment method. And for logging out, we can come here and directly click on sign out. So that is all for today's video. Thanks for watching. If you find this video to be useful, please hit on the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you.